welcome back to Real Girl Talk Podcast Radio. I am your host, Cherie Ricard. I'm an author, speaker, business leader, and adversity recovery expert, bringing you inspiring guests, business, and lifestyle tips to help you create a beautiful life, and always committed to keeping it real. Now let's dive in. Today's episode is sponsored by Richer Pour, a men's and women's basics brand where comfort equals confidence. A balance of the coziest fabrics with forward-thinking designs to deliver you the best of both worlds. They are committed to creating essential pieces that transcend seasons to be on you on the daily. You can use discount code RealGirlTalk through May 31st for 25% off at www.richer-pour.com.
The loss of a loved one is a nearly universal emotional crisis. Unprocessed grief and painful feelings can be buried, leaving you to feel numb. But there is hope. Certified grief counselor, RN, and author Cherie Ricard shares her story of how to cope in her first book, Wake Up Call, A Mother's Grief Journey, after the loss of her 17-year-old son. This book, along with Cherie's other books, are available on Amazon as well as on CherieRicard.com.
Well, hello, my beauties. It's Cherie here back for another episode of Real Girl Talk Podcast. Great to be here with you. And I have a beautiful guest that I know you're going to be excited about, especially if you ever watched New Jersey Housewives. She was on a few seasons ago. I want to introduce you to the one and only Kathy Wakile. She is a wife, a mother, a businesswoman, best-selling author of her dessert cookbook, Indulge, Yum, host of her own podcast show, Eat, Live, Love, Indulge, and best known for, like I said, her role in Bravo TV reality show, Real Housewives of New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Kathy. So awesome to meet you.
Hi, thanks for having me, Cherie. It's so nice
Absolutely.
to see you.
You too. So how are you holding up in Jersey?
We're holding up. You know, it's hit us definitely a lot harder than some of the other states. We are in the hot zone. You know, we're located about 20 minutes from the George Washington Bridge that connects us to Manhattan. So Bergen County is one of the hardest hit in New Jersey. We have a large commuter population, so we have been hit pretty hard. Thankfully, our family is safe and healthy and remains that way.
That's good.
Yeah, my future son-in-law is a Jersey City firefighter who where the city he works for is right on the edge of New York City. So it's a very, very populated city. So he is thankfully staying safe and healthy and getting tested regularly. So he's been very good and they're taking every precaution. Yeah. So basically, I'm holding up pretty good. Thank God that my family's all healthy, and it's been good. It's a little frustrating because the weather is kind of shitty here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, it's still cold where we're at, and so like if you want to be quarantined, like in California or Florida, for instance, would be really nice. I could sit by the pool all day.
Exactly.
That hasn't been the case here. So I've been eating my feelings and cooking my feelings a lot these days.
Oh, I wish I was staying at your house, except for my goal is to be on this 40-day challenge that I put myself on and literally created this challenge yesterday with a friend of mine that is going to air on my show at the end of the month. And she owns a gym in Houston. I was telling you about her before. And she basically has challenged me to 40 days of straight workouts.
That's great.
So I accepted the challenge and she's going to hold me accountable. So when you hold me accountable for something and you're actually going to text me and ask me if I'm doing it,
right? I'm
just going to have to do it because I figured I can do anything.
Right?
I can't lie. Yeah. She's going to know. You know, they always know.
They do. I know, because I started today as well on my 40-day. It's really 70 days, but 40 days strict of, watching my diet. And I have a text relationship with my nutritionist, and she'll be checking in on me. I can't lie, you know?
You can't. But you know what? I like 40 days because 40 is actually a biblical number.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm assuming it's going to bring me good luck.
Yes, yeah, definitely. A lot of transformations can happen in 40 days.
That's right. The other day I cleaned my garage out and I got motivated from the garage being cleaned that I got on the rower, which I made myself a
Oh,
little
that's good.
fitness area in the garage and I call it my own little fitness, got my
Spot.
workout, my weights and all that. And then I got so motivated from doing the rower that I started walking the dog.
That's good. That's great.
Or-
Every little bit helps.
She actually took me for a walk. She's a
Oh, yeah.
65-pound American
Oh,
bulldog.
God bless. Wow, she definitely took you for a walk.
She took me for a walk, but I was going to tell you we have something in common there because my son-in-law is also a firefighter.
Oh, wow.
So we have been really praying for him that he stays safe with, and keeps his N95, but he's a germaphobe. So I'm
Okay.
thinking that he will probably and I'll use your word, indulge and use
Yes,
measures.
for sure. Same with my future son-in-law. He's very, 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 very cautious. He's that type
Yeah.
of person. So it's good. And he's the designated cook in the firehouse too. So he's even more so watching everything. He doesn't allow anybody else in the kitchen. He does all that.
That's so funny because
Yeah.
mine is the same way. Of course, we're Cajuns down here and his last name's
Love
Bovier.
that.
So he's a
Bovier.
true Cajun. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't born in Baton Rouge. I was just raised here since I was 1 year old. So I
Okay.
call myself a Cajun, but in actuality, my last name's Ricard. So it's
right. Well, you could say it the way that my husband, all of his family says it's Richard.
Well, we do. We have a ton of
Yeah.
Richards here. And I told my husband when we moved back to Louisiana from Memphis years ago, I told him, I said, this is just a good start to change our name to Richard. Because my son, my little one, had started kindergarten and he came home and we said, Ricard. And he said, that is not my name. And he's 5 years old. And I said, what do you mean that's not your name? He said, my teacher told me that my name was Ricard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I said, well, you tell your teacher.
This is how we've been saying it.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of a little skit with Kevin Hart. Did you ever see that? And he says when he walks into the classroom and she says,
oh, yeah.
And he says, Miss Green.
Yeah. It's hysterical. That was a good movie.
I know.
Yeah. So Memphis, where did you live in Memphis? Because I'm down in Memphis quite often. I partnered with Remington College, and we opened up a culinary classroom in a culinary actually lab in Memphis. Down in I always say it wrong. Nakona Highway or Nakona Parkway.
Nakona Parkway.
Yeah, Nancona. It's near the airport. It's not far from the airport.
Oh, okay. So so I'm actually from the Germantown, Cordova area, which is a suburb. So they have like Bartlett and Germantown and and I can't remember. It's been a while, but I go back. We were going back every year for 10 years because we had my son's scholarship memorial fund. And so we had a 5K run right there in Shelby Farms. I don't know if you've been over to Shelby Farms. If you haven't, you need to do that when you go because it's a beautiful area where there's a lot of people do paddle boatings and walking.
Oh, that's nice.
It's really lots of really beautiful trails. It's real nice and it's very shaded and it's very safe as well. So we do a 5K run every year for 10 years. We just actually dissolved the scholarship fund a couple of years ago because it just got to where Bryant graduated from a school there in Memphis and a lot of his friends kind of scattered and went to different colleges.
Right. Sure.
And we still kept it going, man. I mean, it was, every year they came back. We came back for the anniversary of Bryant's death. It was always in July. And we had the 5K run. We always had several hundred runners. We raised enough money every year to put in the scholarship. And we gave a scholarship away to a deserving senior at his high school. And so it was something to really look forward to. We called it the Be Bryant-like scholarship because Bryant, I know all mothers boast about their children, but he was, a 4.2 grade point average student.
Great athlete.
Great athlete. Yes. And he had a ton of friends and was just well liked. His nickname was Be Easy because he was just so laid back.
Okay, cool. I love that.
So he was a very cool kid. And So we did that every year, but it got to where as the kids got older, they got married and had kids, and that's where they are in their stage of their life,
Right.
that it was hard for them to all get back to Memphis, those that moved. So
Sure.
we thought that was, the time was that we would dissolve the scholarship at that point. And it was, it was bittersweet. It was
Sure.
difficult to do it from afar, but it was also sad to
To
see
let
it
it go.
go,
Yeah.
because that's how I used my son's name to honor him. And it wasn't until I really felt like I had an awakening in the middle of the night that God told me, you don't have to do that anymore if it's exhausting you, because this is not what's keeping Bryant's memory alive. You
Right.
have your speaking platform in your books, and you always speak of Bryant and how to overcome adversity. And so this is what I do now to keep me going,
Yeah.
because I have
Well,
to
that's
honor
great.
him.
Of
I'm going to honor
course.
him to the day I die, because when somebody says, Cherie, how many kids do you have? It always opens it up to that conversation, right? So
Right.
what is a mother who's lost a child supposed to say? Are they supposed to say two? Or are they supposed to say three?
3, for
And,
sure.
I
3.
always say, I have 3 children. I have 2 that are living on earth and 1 that lives with Jesus.
Right,
And
because
that's it.
because Brian is so always, he may not physically be with you, but he's so always emotionally and spiritually with you. He's
Always.
in you. He's in your heart, and so that's part of you.
That's
And
always.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it always. But I want to talk about your kids too, because, I always admired your kids on the show when you were
Well,
on the
thank
Real Housewives of
you.
New Jersey. And I've told you, we talked about that before, that your kids they have such sweet spirits about them. You can tell that they love you, and you guys have a great family unit. How do
Thank you.
you, as a mom, where do you think that comes from? How do you keep a family unit together when you see so many families breaking apart? You and Rich have been together for a long time. My husband and I have been together for 21 years. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think a big part of it. So Richie and I have been together like 31 years now. We've been in September. It'll be 29 years that we're married. I
Wow.
believe 29. Yeah. So I think that the importance of, since it was just the two of them, I didn't have more. That they would always watch out for one another, and we did a lot of things together as a family. And a lot of times we did things that we wanted to do, but we would always turn it over to them, and find a way to do things that they wanted to do and make it fun for us as well. And then we always had friends of the family that had kids their age, and so we did things together in groups that way. So we enjoyed the parents, they enjoyed the kids. It was really a nice grouping, a nice way to get out and still feel like you have a social life while you're making your kids happy.
Right. No, I
I think,
totally agree. I agree with that.
yeah.
Just like, I think I am proud of the fact that I do have a good relationship with my children, and Bryant and I were very close. And I have an amazing relationship with my daughter, who now has my 4-year-old granddaughter, Roxanne.
Oh,
And,
that's so sweet.
I tease, we call her Roxy. And so I tell
I
everybody,
love
because I'm a
that.
pageant girl myself.
Uh-huh.
I was in pageants since I was 12, all the way up to Mrs. competitions in Mrs.
Uh-huh.
Tennessee. I always say, with a name like Roxy, she'll either be Miss America or a stripper. I have no idea
I
which
was,
one.
I was, you know, I wasn't going to go there, but okay, since you did, let's hope for Miss America.
I'm hoping for Miss America.
Yeah,
Miss America, Miss USA, I'll go with any of
one
that,
of those.
But
Yes, sure.
she is sassy as the day is long.
I
So,
love that.
and it's so funny because people tease me about her, because they're like, Cherie, you can't be mad at her. She is your child, not your daughter.
Right.
She is your
That's so
DNA.
funny. Yeah, she skipped the sass, skipped a generation, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's so funny. I also think that respecting your children is
Yeah.
really important, and respecting what they want, and communicating with them a
Hmm.
lot about everything, not hitting the ceiling anytime that they tell you something that you may not be wanting to hear. Um, we have these ideas that when we have children, that we have a plan for them, and guess what? They're not you. They're who they
Mm.
are, and they develop these personalities, and they develop their dreams and their ideas and their wants and all that. And so we have to allow them to be them, while finding the balance of guiding them on the right path. We give them the tools for life, but we can't make them use them, and we can't force them to be who we want them to be.
Right.
We have to always be there, present, ready to help them if they need it. But we have to realize that they're separate human beings. They're not clones of us. And if they do inherit qualities that we're happy with, that's, oh, wow, what a bonus.
Right.
And you can influence them as much as possible. But at the end, it's their choice. They have free will. It's their time to take what you've taught them, the skills, the tools, the lessons, and make it their own and be their own, perfect human beings.
And we want to save
them. That's our job. Yeah. We want to save them from making mistakes. We want to save them from, hardship. We want to save them from heartache. We want to save them. But a lot of times, all those things, the lessons that they're learning from those hardships is what forms them and makes them stronger individuals. And they can only learn it.
You're so right. You're so right. Because I think sometimes too, I've watched other mothers really cater to their kids. And I'm not saying that I don't cater to my kids in a lot of ways. However, in particular, if you're laying on the beach and your kid wants something to eat, if you're jumping up and going making them a sandwich when they're 14 years old,
right?
You're not doing them any favors to me. I mean,
right.
They have to be able to take care of themselves. I taught my son how to make macaroni and cheese and fend for himself when he was 14, because when he was accepted to the professional motocross world and he was doing national motocross at 14, my youngest.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So when he got accepted there, it was basically like they had to live there. So
so he was on the road.
I couldn't live there.
Yeah,
and so we would have to go back and forth until my husband said, you know what, this is scaring me to death. He literally quit his job and moved over there and lived on the track with him until he had his tragedy in his leg, which that's another story. But during that time, what I am grateful for is that he learned how to wash his clothes. He learned how to work a washing machine, because it was basically a laundromat for these kids.
Sure.
They had to do their own clothes. They did have a cook that cooked for them 3 meals a day, and they could go in and cook, but they had to be able to cook if they didn't like the food. They had to be able to make their own snacks. He had to stay on a good homeschooling schedule so he could race all day long and do the workouts. It taught him a lot of discipline. And as scared as I was and didn't want to leave him for more than 3 or 4 days, which I didn't for, several months, I was always there. And then I would drive back to Louisiana, drive back to Georgia until my husband moved there. What I did find is now he's 19 and he is so independent and he is so self-sufficient that I think, where did he get that from? And then I think back, because he was forced to do it.
Yes, absolutely. So for me, I was a stay-home mom all these years. And then when I had the opportunity to be on the show, it was when my kids were that age, junior high and high school. And they didn't need me as much, but I still found myself doing for them because I was there. And why would I make them do something when I'm perfectly capable of doing it? But then when I got on the show, they were forced to start doing things on their own here and there. I was still present all the time, but they took some more responsibilities in things like the laundry and making meals together, warming things up, watching out for one another. That was a really big thing. Victoria took, assumed the role of taking more responsibility and watching out for her brother and picking him up. And, because she just started driving. And so she was, carting him off to practice whenever need be. And so they really teamed up together and relied on one another a lot. And that was a really, as much as, a mother doesn't want to let go, at the same time, it was great because they had each other and I let them go to one another. So it wasn't like I was letting them go to, go and do your thing. They were watching out for one another, and it was really comforting to see that. And
they're so cute. I mean, they really are a cute brother and sister sibling duo, because just talking about the show, they came across as very kind, but they also came across as just your typical kids that would mess around with each other and want to play jokes on mom and all the things that my 19-year-old still likes to do. I told him, I said, if you don't stop jumping around the wall and scaring me, I'm going to throat punch you. Like, just stop.
There's still, like when they gang up, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? They'll just catch me on these crazy videos. I'm like, please don't put that out there. I look ridiculous, but they'll do it anyway. But you know what? It's all in fun. You have to know when to laugh at yourself too, and not take life so
would
serious.
love it if I allowed him to put some of those, but my son would catch me coming out of my bedroom, no bra, boobies flying everywhere, and he would scare me. And I said, if that goes anywhere, you die, because that's like a vulgar video.
Yeah, so funny.
That's not even a funny video. But on the show, so what made you guys decide to do the show?
Well, I really was never interested in doing the show. I didn't want any part of it. I never wanted to be on TV or a reality show or anything like that. But my husband said, you know what do we have to lose? He's more at taking risks. He said, what do we have to lose? It'll be fun. If it's not fun, we leave. We don't do it, and
True.
Let's just, it's an opportunity. Let's just take it. We didn't have any preconceived notions of where it would take us or what we would get out of it or anything like that. He just looked at it as it was a fun opportunity. And so we kept that in mind, that if it ever jeopardized our family and our family unit, that we would back off.
Sure.
That we would stop doing it. If it wasn't fun, we weren't, going to continue. And so that's how we approached it. And there were some times where it wasn't fun, especially for me, because I took things more to heart and it really affected me more. But you know what? At the end of the day, it was, if our family was still one solid family unit, and then also extending that onto my sister and my mom, we were all great, then you know what? It was fine. It was a fun experience, and we used it for what it was, and we never took it so a lot of times what happens is, in reality TV, they sign you on and they want to know what your reality is. They want to follow your reality. So what happens is families or individuals get caught up in that whole making good TV, and storyline, the word storyline. Now, my storyline for me is who I am and what my life is on a day-to-day. That's my storyline. Now, is it a story? No, that's my life. So I didn't get caught up in, well, what's your story going to be this year? I don't know what my story is. I could go outside and I could get something in the mail and, I don't know, I could win the lottery and then my story's going to change. I have no idea. I can't tell you. I'm not a fortune teller.
Well, and that's reality, right?
And that's reality. But I'm not going to make up a storyline so you could follow this fake storyline.
Right.
Right. I know what I plan to do. I'm hoping to accomplish in my life. I have goals, but will they come about? Will they come to fruition? Who knows? This is my life now. I could tell you what is going on with my life now. I can't tell you what's going to happen 6 months from now. Right. I don't really know. So, and
I know that better than anyone. You cannot predict what's going to happen in your life. You have to go with it, right?
Exactly. And so there's a lot of people on reality TV that get caught up on living their life revolving around the show and what's going to make good TV. Now, that's not reality, because you wouldn't be doing that if you weren't on TV. Like, you wouldn't be going maybe and leasing a Rolls Royce for 6 months out of the year if you weren't on TV, but you want to make a good show, so, but we never got caught up in that. We never got caught up in that. If it was something that our family wasn't going to do, or it didn't seem genuine to us, we never did it. And if that wasn't good TV, then it wasn't good TV, and it wasn't time for us to leave. And that's how we took it, because we wanted to be able to return to our life as we were living it.
Right.
I remember when we built this house that we're living in now, about 5 years ago. We started building 6.5 years ago. And producers had come to me and says, oh, we want to see the process. We want to do this. We want to do that. And I said, yeah, well, we'll see. We want to be able to show the house when it's done. We want to see that all. And I said, well, yeah, I'm not so sure that I really want to do that. And they said, well, it's going to make great TV. And I said, well, guess what? I'm building this house for my family. I'm not building it. I didn't build this house for TV. Right. I built this house for my family. So
right.
There you go.
Well, and see, and that's the thing. I mean, I know, we talked before, and I know quite a few of the Bravo celebrity ladies, whatever you want to call them. And, so we've had these conversations, and I know for a fact that it is about storyline. They've rented
Right.
homes, and
Right.
Kelsey Nichols is a very dear friend of mine, and she was on the Southern Charm of New Orleans for 3 years. And so I know Megan Carlson, she was on the Southern Charm of New Orleans. And so I know that some of these women have rented homes
Right.
to live in the durance of the
Mhm.
show, because their home didn't make for great TV reality, because it was
Right.
of the norm. It wasn't of
Right.
a luxury
Right.
standard, or they rent the cars, or, and you think about it, these women would not normally go to an event every night of the week,
Right.
but you have to have an event if you're going to have the show. And so,
Right.
I think some people do get caught up in thinking that it is their true reality and something they aspire to be or want to be. And what saddens me about it, not that I'm against Bravo or any of the shows,
Right. Sure,
but
of course
it's
not.
kind of like Facebook, Kathy. People only post on Facebook a lot of the times what they want everyone to see.
Of course.
They're-
Nobody wants to see them with their hair up in curlers,
No.
fighting with their husband. They're having
Right.
a bad day. Nobody wants to see you coming out of the dentist office with your face all swollen. But
Right.
that's reality.
Right. That's reality. But that's not what they want to post on there is, this family picture. And for all that, the dad kicked the dog as they were walking out to take the photo that morning.
Right.
That's probably a horrible analogy, but I'm just saying you don't know what's happening in someone's life at that moment, because they don't always post that. Because I know that I've seen things on Facebook from people that I know from school, from high school, and gosh, if I can even remember that far back, have posted things about fighting with a particular friend, and they'll put it on social media. And I'm thinking, the first thing I think of is, oh my gosh, and then I've got one of my girlfriends calling going, did you see what so-and-so put on Facebook? What is wrong with her? Because that is a horrible thing. Yeah. And they air their dirty laundry, but that's what reality TV has become. They make up the dirty laundry to air it, to bring attention to it, because no one's calling me and telling me, oh, did you see the beautiful photos of such and such and her family? No, they're going to call me and tell me about the crap that somebody put on, or how they're trashing somebody, or so-and-so divorced and they're trashing their ex on, Facebook, because unfortunately people feed off of that kind of stuff.
Because it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable about their own lives and their own shortcomings or whatever.
So what made you guys pivot and say, you know what? I mean, I know you went through some situations on the show, and it did break up not your immediate family unit, but you started some drama in the outside family, which is heartbreaking for me, because I treasure everybody in the relationships that I have in my immediate family as well as my extended family. And if something like that I took a risk at doing jeopardized a relationship, which you can't put a price on, then that would be painful. I would blame myself. Why did I do this in the first place?
Well, sure, you do. There's some form of that, but you know what? You have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to the people around you, and you try to always do the right thing. And where you have severed relationship or misunderstandings, you have a responsibility to try and clear that up. If you're that type of person, and I am definitely. So I did try many, many times to reconcile, to, clear out any misconceptions, to, just to try and make things right for whatever, misunderstanding that had happened. And, you can only do so much.
Right.
You need two parties to dance, right? You need two parties to tango. So, and both parties have to be willing, with an open mind and forgiveness, and desire to move forward. But if you don't, then you can't make someone do something. You only be responsible for how you behave, how you react, and how you move forward.
Right.
And so that's what I did. And then for me, the reason why we left the show was, at the time, they go every year when this new season's going to start, you meet with the executives, and they talk about what's going on in your life and this and that. And I had my meeting, and I remember the executive at Bravo said, okay, well, this all sounds really great. And I was opening up a restaurant, and I was doing some other things, and we were finishing building the house and all. And then she said, well, I think we're going to be going in a different direction, with the show. And I said, okay, that's great. That's totally fine. So that meant that, they were going to be bringing on different girls. And they said, and we don't see you fitting in that direction. And sometimes when you hear something that's going on with you, and I had already had other plans, doing some other things in my life professionally. Like I said, I was opening up a restaurant.
Right.
I was doing other things. I was traveling a lot, doing a lot of cooking demos and things like that. So it didn't really bother me so much, because I knew I had another plan that I was going to be working on, and being on the show would have slowed me down with that plan.
Sure.
It would have maybe brought attention to the other projects that I was doing,
right.
But that wasn't necessarily a given, because if you think that you're going to get on these shows and they're going to advertise your business, that's not the case. Like my book
right.
was never shown on the show, none of that. That was all me,
Right.
So when they said that, I realized who they were bringing on and how the direction of the show was going. Sometimes hearing bad news or hard news to swallow ends up being quite the blessing.
Right.
And so I took it as a compliment afterwards, and I realized that they didn't want me to be part of that, because I did not fall into that category, and I would not have fit in with
you wouldn't have participated.
I would not have participated. So I would have just been someone there watching what was going on and not saying anything, because even when I did try to interject and try to diffuse a situation that I had been in, I would get pulled aside and say, okay, let this fight roll out.
Oh,
you don't need to like try and diffuse this fight. So I was like, all right, so
it's like having a little devil on your shoulder saying, punch her in the face.
Exactly. If you're not going to add fuel to the fire, then just definitely, we don't need you to put the water. You don't need to douse the fire, So it was, and then I just was so relieved afterwards.
Good.
And then I had more time to go on with my pizzeria, my pizza restaurant. It's called Pizza Love. It's in town locally here, and it's become quite a success in the community. And
I have to come visit Kathy. So I'm going to have to let you know, because I have been to Jersey. Let's see, my last visit. What month are we in now? Because I don't even know what day it is. I was there
April.
Well, I was there in February.
Oh, wow.
And I was there twice in November. So it was when I was there. Oh, I think I was there in January as well. So I've been there 4 times since November.
So what did you come to New Jersey for?
Well, so I told you that I was in the medical business industry, and my corporate organization there is in Mahwah, New Jersey.
Oh, so you're right nearby here.
I'm right by you.
You're about 10 minutes from me.
Yeah. So I'm coming. So next time I'm going to let you know that I'm coming, because I want to come visit you and eat some pizza. That's got to be after I lose weight, though.
Well, we do have healthy options too, but you can have a slice. It's, it's good.
That's right.
We're about 5 minutes from Mahwah. That's where the restaurant is. And
Perfect.
Wakile, which is right the next town over. So it's
I know where the corporate office is. I know where Starbucks is. Okay. And I know where the Sheraton of the Mahwah, Sheraton, Mahwah, whatever.
The Sheraton at Crossroads.
Those are the 3 places I know.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're very, very close. Very close.
And there was an Italian place, and I can't think of the name of it, but it was not far, but it was such a cool place. And dang it, I'll have to tell you if I can think of the name of it, because I'd like to give them a shout out on my social. But we ate there, I think it was January, February when I was there, and it just a cool atmosphere, Italian restaurant. It was like a little white house, and it had this cool like little porch thing in the back, but it was very good. It was really, really good. So I'll have to think of it. We have some great restaurants
here in New Jersey. Yeah, you have to let me know.
Yeah. We try to have good dinners, at least, when we're there, because we have meetings all day long. So it's nice to have good dinners. So I want you to tell everybody a little bit about what inspired you with the cookbook and then where we can get it.
Okay, so for Indulge, it was funny because St. Martin's Press reached out to me and said, you know what, we'd love for you to do a cookbook, a dessert cookbook on the little desserts that you make. So for me, when I was a kid, we lived near a bakery. I lived in a very small town that was very Italian and Irish. And so every night at that time, you went to the bakery still for bread, and went to there was a little milk box that you bought your milk from, and where the dairy farmer would drop off milk to your house. So the bakery was a place that I always loved going to get our bread from for every evening meal because it smelled fantastic. And then all of the pastries were lined up like little works of art. And I love that. And so I'm a very artistic person, a very creative person. And so whenever I would go to the bakery, I couldn't decide which one I wanted, like which cake I wanted, or which, dessert I wanted, which pastry I wanted. It was just, there's so many to choose from.
Right.
So I started making things small as a way to indulge without feeling guilty. 2 bites is really all you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, especially if they're done right. And so that's where the word indulge came from. And also I said something on the show. I was doing a dessert tasting, and a bunch of girls, these real fitness girls, were coming up to me and trying to talk, trying to start a fight with me, talking about health and, gluten and sugar. It's not bad for you and blah, blah, blah. And I just came out and said, sometimes I see really skinny girls and they're not happy. Indulge, honey. Indulge, have a cupcake. You'll feel better. Life is too short. So that's where the name came from. And that's what the book is. It's all little desserts. Portion control is key, where you could indulge in having something sweet and indulgent without feeling guilty about having a dessert. And it's not for every day. And so that's the book. It's all about 75 different little indulgent recipes that you can make a batch of, like as if you're making a batch of cookies, and they're meant to share, not just for yourself, but to share, freeze, save some for later. And sharing is caring. So that's
this is a really good book for my daughter, because one of the things that she picked up, obviously from my mother and not from me, was the love for baking. And she has her master's in education, and she's educates our children. But on the side, she has a business called Teens Treats, and so she makes birthday cakes.
That's great.
And so she makes birthday cakes. She loves to bake. And so I just got an idea that I need to get your book for her. I'm going to get that for Mother's Day for her.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, maybe she won't listen to this and she won't know her. But I'm just thinking 75 recipes. She would probably sit there and try to make them all in a day, because she just loves baking.
Loves to bake. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's really great. So my book, you could get it at KathyWakileDesserts.com. So it's KathyWakile desserts.com. And that's my website, and you could get it from there. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. Where else can we find you? Where can we find you on social media?
So on social media, it's just my name, KathyWakile.com, Wakile, and it's Kathy with a K. On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, it's all the same. And my podcast is Eat, Live, Love, Indulge by Kathy Wakile.
Wonderful. Now, is your podcast in seasons?
I haven't even, we said we were going to do seasons, but so far we've just been doing them. I just been doing them.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. And at one point I said, okay, I'm going to make this season 1, take a little break, get caught up, record some, but we haven't yet. So I'm just going with it. We'll see.
Yeah, it's just fun. Yeah.
It's a learning experience for me, and I'm just having fun with it, and growing my audience daily. And I'm, in life throws challenges at you. And so you have to roll with those challenges. And so that's where we're at right now.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you being here. And my beauties, if you're ready to reboot, regroup, and reinvent yourself, listen to my podcast radio weekly every Wednesday. Make sure that you share this episode on social media and tag Kathy and myself. It's not only a blessing to us, but it shows the show's success to women so we can support other women and bring light and love to someone else. Until next week, step out of your comfort zone, try something new, keep your faith in God, and I hope you have a blessed, blessed day.